Howdy, everybody. Welcome on into the cargo bay. Take 2, where it's time for a little bit of hobby talk.
Hobby talk. Hobby talk.
How are you, BC?
I'm telling you, take 2 better than take 1. Feeling good.
Always. Watch as we talk about this docket with as much enthusiasm as we did the first time.
Whoa! Well, it's a good thing you and I are have heavy theatrical training. You know, we can summon up the moment and muster the excitement, really at any given moment, such as our training.
Watch this, BC. We're going to be talking about galaxy price comparisons. Whoa! We're going to be talking belatedly about a deep dive into Topps Galaxy direct from Papa Topps.
Well, and you know if it's coming directly from Papa Topps, it's going to be deep.
Absolutely. It's truly extensive. And finally, BC, we've got our usual, the comments and polls, collectors highlights, as well as a look at what's coming direct down the pipe from Topps. But before we get there, don't forget, if you want to support the Cargo Bay, like and subscribe.
Please!
Father, please!
Please!
So let's get into this deep dive that I wanted to talk about a while back, but we kind of forgot about it. I don't know how, because the Topps Ripped brought us this very special article.
You know, without knowing anything about this, I'm going to guess it's because we're buried under a mountain of information, which would be too large to cover in any one single hobby talk, surely.
Now, VC, I hate to break it to you, but mostly I want to make fun of this. Because, apologies if a real person indeed wrote this and not AI. But when I see a deep dive, I don't know about you, deep dive into the Topps X Star Wars universe. There's, I guess, Topps Cross Star Wars universe. I don't know why that X is there in the title. But anyway, as it says in a header at the top, this is 333 words of information.
That's so many words!
I'm just drowning over here, BC, in this super deep dive.
Yeah, I did ask you whenever you posted this in the slide if this was the entirety of the deep dive, to which you said yes, and to which I guffaw because the depths of this dive are not very deep.
No, not at all, BC. We've got a header that talks about the legacy, it really hypes up the legacy of Star Wars Galaxy products, and then we've got a little bit at the end that says, and this came out a day before Galaxy 2023, I think. Anticipation builds for specific inserts with the Darth Vader's bounty hunters garnering special attention. I don't know why or from whom. From who? From whom? I never learned that one, folks.
It's whom when you're trying to be fancy.
Okay, well then I don't know whom it was garnering attention from, but basically it's just a list of some of the insert sets taking up a lot of those 333 words. But the one chunk in the middle that is kind of interesting, let me just read it here. It might take me a while because it's deep.
Oh yes. It's a deep dive.
John Sprance, the art director behind this project, unveiled the driving design philosophy for this edition. The big difference this year is that we are moving away from hard-soiled images on the base cards and hard-siloed?
I guess.
I don't know why I said soiled. It's definitely not soiled, but I don't know what. Anyway, I'm gonna say siloed images on the base cards instead of and instead opting for an inverted white plate, he explains. Doesn't explain anything to me as someone who doesn't work in the printing business. This means that whether it's a classic piece or a newer edition, the entire painting or illustration will show up much better, and we can really do the art justice while still being able to see the different parallels. So, what this is referring to, best I can tell, BC, is, in your Chrome Galaxy 2021 and 2022, you'll have like a parallel, and a portion of the image is, you can't see the parallel behind it, which to me makes the image pop, and depending on the design is cool. In the new set, the parallels, you can see them right behind the every part of the card, like you can, on the backgrounds of 2021. So anyway, it goes on to say, chromium technology has been harnessed to amplify the visual appeal. Sprance dives into the intricacies, saying, here we go, here's another sentence about how deep we're going. Chrome is very dark and only appears bright and shiny when you get the right angles. In sports cards, areas are intentionally designed to show off the chrome and parallels, but with vintage artwork and newer Disney designs, we have to figure out a way to balance these issues after the fact, he says. We've got some, I know we've had some comments about this looks worse. I think in some cases it does look worse. I think with the images that are more paintings, rather than illustrations, it makes sense to do this. But anyway, that is the entire meat of this deep dive into, into Chrome Galaxy. So there you go.
If that was the meat, then consider me full, baby. Look at that meal we got. The meal from Papa Tops. I guess it's a fine insight into some of the decisions, but don't say it's a deep dive when it's like 2 paragraphs worth of information about what's happening. Like, there are certainly depths to which we could dive to on some of this stuff. Artists, their background, the style, how they're chosen, why the images are selected. We've foregone that for the chromium technology talk, which is fine. I don't know, but it's humorous that this was their like, look at us going deep into this. And you're like, it's 2 minutes.
I looked up very short stories for children, and the collection that I found, all the stories were under 2,000 words. So, I mean, my middle school essays, I remember being like, I got to hit the 500-word mark.
That 500-word mark really was the sweet spot in middle school. So, Tops is shooting just a little bit below that on their word count for their deep dive.
I would love to see a long form interview with John Sprance. And like you said, BC, the big mystery is like, where do these images come from? Like, I would love obviously we used to find that out on the backs of our Galaxy cards back in the day. Like, oh, this is from a comic book. Oh, this is just created for the card set. In this, there seem to be a lot of images from one particular artist who I don't know who they are. I don't know if these were created for something else first or what, but that's all we're gonna get, I guess, for now.
Thanks, Tops.
Thanks, Papa Tops. All right, well, let's move on. BC, you did some research here, so.
Hey, I did a deep dive of my own into some sales from 2023 Galaxy, as we're starting to see some of those recorded sales hit the 130 point for confirmed sales of cards. And then we'll do some kind of comparisons here in a second too. Again, the deep dive, I may have spent twice as much time on my deep dive as Top spent on theirs, which was a solid 30 minutes. So, but yeah, just looking, kind of sorting from like the highest sales. The top sale so far from 2023 Galaxy is the Angel of Veles 1/1 Vader Luke Yoda sketch, which had 47 bids and sold for $5,221. Whenever we do our long anticipated sketch card episode, I'm pretty sure Angel of Velas is going to pop up a time or two
Yeah.
when we talk about sketch cards.
Yeah, we'll save that for the sketch card episode, but kind of a wild story, and of course, always crazy prices. I guess not that crazy anymore, as it seems he has become the poster child, the poster man of,
Yeah.
of Topps art these days. Seems to be one of the only artists that Topps actually cares about, because obviously his art is driving sales of their product.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, his sketches are
Yeah.
truly like little works of art on cards. So I mean, great for him and good for you if you've got the cashola to spend on one of those cards. Also good for you if you got the cashola to buy a superfractor. Did have a sale of the one of one, the Empire's Forces superfractor, which is the cool Vader with the clone trooper, different clone trooper armor card. It was listed for 3,500, bought for 2,500. Again, that's the high end of what this has been. If you want to hit the next slide,
Certainly.
we can take a look at some of fives that have some sales on here. Again, these are offers that were accepted for usually pretty well below the asking price. But still, even for of fives, you're looking at sales ranging from $400 to $900. So decent sales on those. Always nice to get an of five whenever you can.
Yeah, this image of Boba Fett that went for 900. I mean, I expected this to be one of the most sought after cards in the set, so it makes sense that was selling for a high price. Again, lots of these cards would have sold for, if these cards were in Galaxy 2021 when that set dropped. Those of fives did not start reaching these highs until long after that product had released. So Chrome Galaxy's still got some heat behind it.
It does, and I think this is even. I mean, what the first 2021 is. I mean, those prices now are like out of this world astronomical. So if you're like comparing them, it's like, oh, it's a good deal. It's a good buy for an of five on 2023 compared to 2021. They're still expensive, but to me, it's like Galaxy is so dependent on the image, right? Like
Yeah.
that Boba Fett card is super cool, right? Like you are going to find that there are cards that pop because of the image. I think I'll point to a couple here in a little bit, but that Boba Fett, that Visions line, those are pretty cool. I think there is kind of a like a niche rabid collector base for those cards specifically, just because of the style of those. So you are seeing some of those sell for pretty good prices. If you want to hit the next slide, we'll take a look at kind of another one of those inserts. This is an of 25. It's the Vader Galactic Visions Orange. 21 bids, sold for $150. That's a really cool card. There was
Yeah.
another Vader of 25. It's Vader ignites his lightsaber. That was $152.
That's
Pretty heavily bid on. I think not. I mean, they're expensive to me, but not compared to other Galaxy stuff. It's not as expensive, but I think that's to be expected since this isn't. I mean, it's the new kid on the block, but it's the third iteration at this point.
These are also orange refractors, which are new.
Mhm.
Previously, it had been purple, usually in the 25 slot. And something I noticed about 2021 Galaxy was, specific parallels wound up being worth a lot more than others. And the atomics, I think, because people were able to think about full sets of atomics. The
Yeah.
atomics wound up in a lot of cases for specific cards being worth more than a mojo, even, or
Yeah.
potentially a purple. So it may be that, I don't know, the orange is less sought after for now, but who knows?
Yeah. And then if you want to hit the next slide, we'll look at sort of kind of breaking it down a little bit more by the three. So box price. These are kind of from recent comps in terms of box prices. That 2021 sitting pretty at 565 to $600 range if you want an unopened box. It's a lot of cheddar.
Yeah.
It's a big gamble on that. But the
Unless you're going to keep it
rewards,
sealed forever.
yeah, unless you just don't want to open it. Yeah, unless you just want to gamble and hope that you get a sweet parallel because they can be very expensive. But yeah, and then 22 and 23 kind of around the same price. 22, I think was they were initially trying to sell this at what, like $300 a box whenever they came on pre-sale. These are routinely being sold for 225 to 250. And then of course the newest one is still basically right around the price, original asking price.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's always interesting to me thinking about the long-term play of collectibles, VC, because I think it largely, all of this in the long term depends on whether society collapses or not.
Yeah.
So
Well,
$600 is a lot for a box of cards, but as we've said
it
many
is.
times, this is going to be a collectible set forever if there is a market at all for Star Wars.
I think the first one definitely yes, but like the other two, the price is baked into them, and they printed more of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's a more watered down. The quality's not as good. So like I don't know if I don't like speculating on price, but I don't think buying a box of 2021 and sitting on it for a long time is gonna make it lose its value. But I don't know that it's gonna like wildly go up
Yeah.
in value. I think a lot of that speculation is already built into what those box prices
Yeah.
are because they sold originally for like $120 whenever they
Oh,
initially
if we
came
had a
out.
time machine,
Oh, I'd
BC.
jump back in that time machine. I'd buy so many boxes. Actually, I probably would have had to take out a loan to do that because I was really broke when
Yep.
these came out, and like scraping together my pennies for the boxes I did get was like, oh, I don't know if I should do this.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, BC, I'm there now.
Yeah, it's a fun place to be. But you are sitting on a horde of dragons gold and all that 2021
That's true.
parallels you got, you know.
BC, I've got a lot of cards I could sell to be in a better position. Just I really don't want to lose them. I like them.
It's I mean the 2021 stuff really we do love. And if Chrome Galaxy's not your bag, I'm sorry, baby, you know, but people, I think there is definitely a proven market for this. I mean, people like it. I think they're cool. I don't think all of them are cool, but it's such a niche thing for collectors to find the stuff in these sets that they like and really go after it. So if it's not your thing, I totally understand.
Yeah.
It's expensive. Walk away. Find what you do like. But I just think, you know, you see some of the sales, continuous sales of what this is, and it's still in demand, you know.
Yeah, and if you're tired of hearing us talk about Chrome Galaxy or other modern products, go check out our vintage set guides, VC.
Yeah, we got those. Go check those out.
I was immediately drawn to this as a new collector because growing up liking Pokemon cards and shiny hollow foil cards, I was like, you're gonna make my Star Wars cards all shiny? Cool. That's what I want.
Well, and it hit us at a really interesting time too, because you know, a little cargo bay history for all you viewers out there. I mean, we started just like opening random crap on Twitch, like literally like random non-sports card crap. And then obviously when we had Star Wars stuff, we really enjoyed it because we're big Star Wars fans. But like when we found like 93 Galaxy, we're like, what are these treasures that have been hiding in this mass-produced product? Because the art was great, the backs of the cards were fantastic, and then like shortly after we discovered it, they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna do a Chrome version of Galaxy." And we're like, "Well, that sounds amazing," you know, because there will be like parallels, there will be cool stuff, there will be shiny, fancy things of those older cards that we treasure with a little more chase to it. I mean, it's definitely riding the wave of the sports market and scarcity and fake scarcity and all that kind of stuff. But when you get them in hand, they're cool, and I mean, I like them. I still enjoy, you know, pulling out my binder and looking at the set that I made. But yeah, I think it just kind of caught us and really the market at kind of an interesting time.
Yeah, yeah, maybe the peak of the of
Yeah.
that bubble, which hasn't
Yep.
popped quite as much as I thought it would, which maybe brings us to our next slide here, BC.
Yeah. So these were sold listings. I wanted to get kind of like a comparison. So I did a baseline of like the box art cards out of 150. So we've got obviously the leap of faith box art atomic recently sold. Like these are all from within the last, I'd say, 2 months. And these were all bids, so they were all won at auction. Um, $387 for an atomic of 150 from 2021 is a nutso price to me. But it's a cool card, and the atomic on the blue background, I think, looks fantastic. We
Yeah.
talked a little bit about on the deep dive what some of the changes were and have been to the parallels. I don't think they've done better than most of what they did in 2021 with
Yeah.
either of the most recent sets.
Yeah, this card in particular, I have an atomic of this, and it's one I've thought about selling because, again, I need money. But my wife is like, "Don't sell that card because
Yeah.
it looks incredible
Yeah,
in
it's a
person.
beautiful card.
It looks like something that's worth that much money, even though I don't
Yeah,
know that it is. But I guess people are buying
yeah,
it. But yeah, it looks really good, and the looking at how that atomic pops in that picture versus the atomic on this next box art, it is different images lend themselves to this
yeah,
Chrome product better than others.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can see the price just kind of falls across the board as you go from the first to the last, which is to be expected, I think. So, you know, I like the box art from 2022. It does not strike
Yeah,
me as
super cool.
iconic as 2021. Again, I think the box itself for 2023 is actually kind of cooler than the card. The
Yeah,
Boba Fett art. But the card is cool, but affordable out of 150. I still don't know that I would pay $56 for that particular card, but it just kind of gives you kind of a baseline of what some of those 150s are selling for. And I do think the 2021 looks better than the most recent ones with the borders. I think, we talk about all the time, but the borders kind of are a buzzkill.
yeah. If you took that Boba Fett and you cut out Boba, and in that sand and had the atomic behind him, it might be a different story. But as
Yeah.
that card is now, I want the orange parallel of that card.
Yeah.
I want to color match much more than I like. We read that
Yeah.
deep dive and it talked about the cards being more vibrant, but at least in this picture, that card is not vibrant. And again, it's
No.
probably not lit as well. But
I mean, the photograph is definitely not as good as the leap of faith, but even still, like I don't think the parallel pops as much. And then I got one more just sort of price comparison. These are recent sales, just in the raw with bids. You've got the 2021 everyone's favorite
the
Jedi a
famous,
la Kurosawa.
the pumped card.
Oh my gosh. And here's the deal. I think the pump is stupid.
uh,
I think the card is still cool. I mean,
yeah,
I hate the hype. I love the card.
yeah,
I think the card is awesome. And
yeah.
like nothing's gonna change my mind about the actual imagery of the card. The pump of it is dumb. And
I
this was an of 75 that sold for $500 raw.
Before this card was pumped, BC, I was looking for one. Because I thought it was gonna be a valuable card, and I wanted one. My biggest missed opportunity is there was a listing of it that wasn't listed super well. It was the 7 of 10 X-Fractor, and at the time I was like, I'm willing to go up to like 120 on this. Like, I think this card is gonna be worth money. That card sold for $72. I fell asleep. I missed the end of the auction. So somewhere out there, someone got the X-Fractor for $72 and could, if they wanted to, I'm sure sell that card for at least $800, $900, if not,
Yeah.
more than that. So
No,
that's,
he definitely could sell it for that amount. I mean, I mean, it's a cool card. It's got a fan base, whether that fan base is built off of legitimate reasons or stupid internet reasons is up for debate. I don't think it changes the fact that it's a cool card.
No.
That's just me. Then we got an X Fractor from 2022 that sold for $362.85. Vader always going to pull a premium, as one of the more collectible characters. I just thought it was interesting comparing that to the 5 of 5 from 2023 that sold for even less than the X Fractor. So more rare, still expensive. Like all of these are expensive, don't get me wrong, but still isn't driving. Doesn't have the same price demand as something from last year's set.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said about the eye appeal of that logo again in the corner of these 2023 cards. It's just the logo's in the wrong spot. It needs to come in a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. I think $355 is a great price for that card. Honestly, like for the person selling it, I still think good job. Yeah. I could imagine that card only going for 200 or something, but
yeah.
Get
your cheddar while you can. But I just kind of wanted to look into this one for my own information because I feel like I've been out of touch with Galaxy pricing. You and I didn't touch 2022 stuff at all. Once they released the price of those boxes, we're like, nah, we're good. We're out on that. 2023 is still expensive, was reasonable enough for me to get a box and then one for our cargo hold. Go check out the video of us opening it. Really enjoyed it. Got some good pulls, but I don't know. To me, it's just it is always going to be nostalgia for 2021, which was I still love.
Yeah, awesome set. Great cards, and there's cool images in all of these sets, and it's all weird. It's weird because these cards there's a factor of speculation and people going for value. So but love it or hate it, it's part of the hobby. And BC, I'm glad you did this. Thank you for doing this because I've been staying far away from eBay as someone without disposable income at the moment.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
And to be clear, I did try to draw as many of these that were actual like auctions and bids and not like something that could have just been like, hey, yeah, bought this for whatever. I do tend to trust auctions a little bit more than best offer listings.
Yeah.
That's just me. Certainly there's some chicanery that occurs on eBay, heaven forbid, but it does.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of want to get an overview of where we're at with those 3 different sets.
Good stuff, BC. Thank you again. I'm going to see what's on this next slide. Oh, we got some comments here. So how about I read the first one, you read the second one, BC?
Yeah.
So here we have a comment from Sean saying, I will say flagship is cheap. And I think this is in reference to Chrome Black, yeah.
Yeah.
Flagship is cheap, but what really can you hit for value? Better odds in Chrome Black of hitting a low number. 2, flagship versus Chrome Black, guaranteed auto. Print run lower in Chrome Black, overall more quality of a card. I'd rather have 4 cards black versus a ton of base flagship of $4.99, of $2.99, of $1.99 on your basic box. To which I say, yeah, sure. Yeah. I agreed. I think we talked a little trash about Chrome Black because you and I don't love the look of it or the experience of opening one pack of cards for $100. Yeah. I think we also, talked about you're not going to get a high value auto. Most likely you're going to get an auto that's even on a thick Chrome Black card isn't going to sell for much. But yeah, fair point.
Yeah, no, totally. Again, we didn't want to yuck anybody's yum with our I don't know, aversion to Chrome Black. I believe I commented on this. Different strokes for different folks. I mean, that's just these are gonna be 2 more separate products in my mind. Like flagship, to me, is like a kid's product. It is for children. A kid is not going to go out and be like, I want a box of Chrome Black for $100 from their hobby stop. The average child, I would say. I don't want to paint any of our children viewers into a corner. I know a a lot of our 8 to 9-year-old audience are high rollers buying those Chrome Black boxes. But yeah, it just was like they're so different. It is apples and oranges. I mean, they're both Star Wars products, but along the line of what is happening here, they're just wildly different, and they're geared towards different collectors. So if Chrome Black is your market, then love it, enjoy it. It's obviously not ours because we're blaster boys at heart, So that's why we resonated with flagship. Yeah, that's why we resonated with flagship.
I will say too, though, BC, just in defense of flagship, if flagship is going to be a thing that's coming out every year, I have seen prices on flagship parallels kind of trail up, and to places where I didn't think they would get. Like I was hoping to get all of the Andor characters in the orange parallel. And the first couple weeks that set was out, I could get those easily for like $5 shipped in a lot of cases if I wanted to. Now that is not the case, and that might just be people not listing them for auction, just like buy it now prices, whatever. But just given that it is the first of a product that may run for a long period of time, I think a box of flagship might have more potential for some nostalgia value and some growth in price. But I don't know. I could be wrong.
It's such a big set too,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's apples and oranges to me. I have a hard time comparing the two of them. I think Topps is gearing them towards different types of collectors, which is fine. I mean, it's something for everybody, essentially in the Topps line. And I don't know. We're blaster boys at heart, so I think that's why flagship was kind of like, hey, this is cool, this is fun, and there is value in those boxes. I mean, if you look, some of those parallels do sell for good money. I mean, I was able to sell a lenticular that I pulled and the chosen one, and basically got a box price back for one of the hobby boxes that I bought off of those two cards. So, I mean, there's value in it. It pays for me being able to rip all those packs,
Yeah. But thank you, Sean. Thank you for that comment. Good point. And we always appreciate anybody who's out there watching, especially if you get annoyed with us sometimes, because we're gonna do some annoying things every now and then.
Oh man, we've got opinions and people commenting on opinions on the internet, which is fine. We put ourselves out there, so fire away, I guess.
Give us those dislikes, baby. I'm not saying that
flow through you.
Not saying that Sean was hating on us.
No, definitely not. No.
But yeah,
no. Big fan of Sean here personally. So, but again, I do enjoy hearing another person's perspective on the why you would go for Chrome Black, because for me, it's like, it's just like a thing I'm not interested in. There's a lot of different types of collectors, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I dig it. And we got a comment from Andy. This goes back to talking about 2023 Galaxy. We did the good, the bad, and the ugly. Andy wanted to add to the bad and the ugly the way they did the parallels, which we've been talking about here a little bit, with patterns for 2023. Mojo, X-Fractor, etc. cover the entire surface of the card, making it difficult to see the actual subject of the card. Well, Topps would say they've really improved it with that, but it also appears that the superfractors, they only applied the effect to the border on the base set cards. See number 57 in eBay sold listings. Seems to me like they cut some corners when designing this product while adding another approximately 30% to the print run. I'm not a big fan of Fanatics' impact so far. Fair. I think you hit on what we've been talking about before and what Father Fanatics was trying to defend in their design choices, in their deep dive, talking about some of those design choices. But yeah, we don't necessarily love those choices. I do think it does knock it down a peg or two in my eye.
Yeah, it's weird. Not all of those 2021 Galaxy cards are perfect in the way that they cut those images to stand out, but a lot of them are definitely better than Chrome Beskar, which they, in a similar way have subjects in the foreground and Chrome in the background, and a lot of those you can't see what's happening at all. But yeah, I can imagine, because a lot of the cards, I specifically am like, well, I want a mojo of this card because the background is pretty plain. So it doesn't matter that it's all just going to reflect back at me. It's going to look cool. In other cards, I was like, I want a purple parallel of this because I want to see the background. So imagining that effect on a card that the whole subject matter is is being flashed at you in a mojo, yeah, I can see why that would be bad. You didn't pull any
Nothing.
you pulled color parallels out of your
I
box.
did. I pulled the rare of 199 and 25. So I didn't actually get mojo or cracked ice or waves. None of them.
Well, yeah, I will like to see one of those someday. Hopefully I will. I'm a mojo man, but it depends on the card.
I mean, there's one in that cargo bay box. I can almost guarantee you. There's probably a super fractor up in that cargo hold, just waiting to be unearthed.
I can't wait, BC. I'm gonna next slide us over to a poll.
Love it.
So I might have flubbed this one a little bit, BC, because here's the poll. Which grading service do you prefer for cards in your PC? I listed PSA, SGC, HGA, or I don't like graded cards, or the service I use isn't listed here. I think not having Beckett on the list was where I messed up. I should have had Beckett instead of HGA. Obviously, Beckett is more popular. I like HGA. But yeah, I got 41 votes. That's a pretty good response for us. Thanks to everybody who gave that thumbs up, helped that poll circulate. And in the comments, I know we got some mentions of some grading companies I've never heard of before. I did check out. There are a lot of small grading companies out there. One of the ones I was looking at, I remember had like a green border. But check those comments out for some interesting grading services. And also, someone mentioned Beckett. But 66% PSA, of course.
Not surprised by that. It's the king of the mountain in terms of grading. I do think it was last week, a couple weeks ago, we got some good examples of some HGA graded cards, for PC stuff. Was surprised a little bit low on SGC, maybe I thought, but to me, like it's all about that like number 2 spot. SGC and Beckett, I feel like are where it battles out for. I personally prefer SGC over Beckett, and then PSA is my numero uno.
Yeah. If I had unlimited cash to spend on slabbing my personal collection with no thought of selling in the future, I would absolutely get HGA. So I got a lot of horizontal images that I like, but yeah, interesting stuff. I was surprised we didn't get more. I don't like graded cards in my PC. I know a lot of people have that opinion. But yeah, an interesting poll, and we got one more, BC.
Indeed.
Now this is something I've been trying to get to the bottom of for a long time.
This is a passion project of yours for a while.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and say this. This is about UV damage. I currently have sitting in my window 3 young Luke cards from the Obi-Wan because I want to see how much the Tatooine sun will age our young Luke. Yeah. So I have one just out raw, I have one in a penny sleeve, and I have one in a penny sleeve and a premium top loader. They're both from whatever the company is that makes penny sleeves and top loaders, the most popular one. So that's been in there for about 2 weeks now. Eventually, when there's visible damage to one of the cards, I'll show the picture of the difference. I'll unsleeve them, and but it is indirect sunlight that hits this window, so it'll probably take some time. But anyway, back to the poll. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, and if anyone is looking for a good science fair project for their kids out there, I think you just gave them a good one.
Yeah, not bad. Maybe even try some different sunscreen applications. This is something I've been curious about because a lot of one-touch cases used to have UV protection listed and then don't really anymore. My favorite cases, which I forget the name of them, they have a kangaroo on the front, and they let you have your penny sleeve inside the one-touch without having to trim it or anything. These at least used to say that they had 5-year UV protection on them, which I will say, if you're getting UV protection and it doesn't have a year or time period on it, that's a lie, because it's all going to break down over time. And I don't know if that means like after 5 years, even if it hasn't been in the sun, or maybe 5 years of sun. Who knows? Anyway, it's a fuzzy subject, so I was curious, and here's how people responded to what do you do to protect your trading cards from UV damage? 39 votes, not bad. I don't worry about it, 13%. Brave folks out there.
Yes, indeed.
I am paranoid about it, so, kudos to you. I keep my cards far away from direct sunlight. Wins here with 54%. This is basically where I fall. I keep my cards away from direct sunlight. I've decided that LEDs are okay. Not my favorite cards, but I take some risks displaying some cards under bright LEDs, which by all accounts is safe. And I keep my cards away from direct and indirect sunlight. I keep my cards away from indirect sunlight usually, but if I've got a sleeve and one of these fancy one-touch cases, I have some that get a little bit of indirect sunlight.
Here's the nice thing about where I live as a collector, and the terrible thing as someone who enjoys growing plants. No direct sunlight
Same
comes
here.
in to where I live, period. The only thing I will get is the occasional like bleed in, but like this is a north facing unit that I live in. So like the sun just goes alley-oop right over the top. Occasionally it will kind of slice in, but it rarely will reach up to my shelves in the back where I do display my cards. So I tend to like just be cautious about it whenever it is that time of year when the sun kind of creeps in here, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's one of those benefits of not getting direct sunlight that are few and far between in terms of benefits of not getting direct sunlight.
I specifically have my shelves arranged in a way to avoid the indirect sunlight as much as possible, but I'm in the same situation. I do take a risk with some cards that I do really like over here on this one shelf, but it's only indirect, and again, I've got 2 layers of UV protection on them, supposedly, so we'll see. Maybe my very rare cards I keep in a box, away. We've got 8% saying they trust their sleeves, top loaders, and or one-touch cases. So I assume that means that I'll let some direct sunlight on there even. And then I trust my graded slabs to protect from light damage. Glad to see that's only 3%, because unless you are grading with a company that specifically mentions it, I would not trust your PSA or SGC slabs for UV protection. They have some copy on their websites about UV, but it is very vague, and I would guess over time it's nothing. Yeah, I'd love to know more about this. There is shockingly little information or testing around this that I've been able to find.
We need like a Mythbusters episode, on card UV protection or something like that.
Hey, if you want to sponsor the Cargo Bay doing some tests with your products versus other products, send us an email.
Let us know. We are the Cargo Bay Pod at protonmail.com.
And now, BC, time to go to the living set where we've got some Andor cards, BC.
I was excited to see some Andor cards. I do feel bad though. I'm so behind on living set. I would be in catch up mode in like spin to get back in on the Andor living set stuff right now.
BC, but I
love these images.
I was up to date on all the Andor cards up through Marva, and after the Marva Dr. Quadpaw, that's where I became flat broke. So I'm actually really upset to see Andor cards. They've been doing a run of them, and I'm missing them, baby. It's making me sad.
Well, here's the good news for you and all you wonderful collectors out there. People are doing you the service of buying these in bulk and selling them for the cheap on eBay. So do that whenever you have a chance, or maybe your special fairy godmother of cards will send you some.
BC, I appreciate it, but I do believe that, hopefully I will have income again someday, and at that point, these cards aren't going to be that expensive. Earlier cards in the living set run have climbed in value because that was a long time ago. In a market far, far away.
Yeah, these are all like you can be had for like $5, which is less than the sell price on the website.
Yeah, and I'm not chasing PSA 10 set of these. This is a binder set for me. They're all good
Yeah.
looking. None of these
Yeah.
come terribly cut. So
No, they are almost always in pristine condition.
And BC, I did want to mention there's a throwback set up on the website today. We don't know what it is because our current recording schedule prevents us from keeping up to date. But last week's, there were some cool cards in there, including Din Djarin with his new dual pistols. So that was cool.
Sweet card.
Yeah, very cool. Someone's going to get a cool parallel of that. I'm sure the short print was of Din Djarin.
Yeah.
I also, at some point, I need to bring up, there is a Nerf gun that looks very much like these pistols, and I am certain that when Season 4 of Mando rolls around, the cosplay market is going to attack that that Nerf gun. So at some point, you'll get an early notification of the cargo bay. I forget what it's called, but it's just a super long pistol that is very similar in the way that the barrel is shaped and length. So if you're a cosplay Nerf modder out there, I'll give you the tip. And is that it, BC? No, we got PC collection cards.
We got 2 more slides here. This comes to us from the currently retired, but not for long.
Come back.
Not sports cards. I did reach out and say, hey, anybody want to show off some cards? And I got this Cassian Andor from 2016
Super cool.
Topps Star Wars Rogue One in the gold. These are numbered out of 50 as a PSA 8. It is, again, numbered out of 50. A wonderful first appearance rookie of Cassian Andor, numbered and graded. Just a fantastic card.
This is a very cool card, BC. Not Sports Cards, I believe, referred to this as a coffin card, which right. I like that terminology, which means it will not be sold.
That's right.
I believe that the 8 and the 12 is the birth date of his pooch. Am I correct there?
I believe that's right.
So it is
Not Sports Cards. If we're wrong, we apologize. Let us know. But yeah, sentimental value for sure in terms of the numbering on here too.
Yeah, I love that. I love specific, number significance in card collecting. So, I'm jealous of that. We love Cassian Andor here in the cargo bay. So, hitting the next slide, BC. Ooh.
And then when I said, show off, this was dropping the hammer. This is an on-card Mark Hamill autograph. It's a PSA 910, so pristine on-card auto from, what is it, 20, I can't read, can't see, 2015 or 2016?
2015, Chrome Perspectives. Chrome. Yeah, and this is an X-Fractor too. Ichiwama. It's a pretty card.
One, it's a great image because you get a puppet on Mark Hamill's back. And 2, beautiful signature and great placement on it.
Yeah, really cool signature card design or auto card design in the set. It's a great set altogether. If you like Chrome cards and you haven't seen the 2015 Chrome Perspectives, it's the first one with like these parallels, unless you count the gold refractors. But the pattern parallels, I believe, started with the set. Also, nice presentation on this this submission, BC. Look at that. Look at that.
Lovely.
The swampland of Dagobah.
Right there in Dagobah, you got a PSA card floating around.
Not gonna be able to pick one of these up very easily, and that's a mint 9 and an auto 10. That is a pretty card.
Pretty card. So we do appreciate Fat Lemon Pie, Not Sports Cards, sharing some of their PC highlights. If you'd like to share some PC highlights as well to be featured, shoot us an email. We are, of course, the Cargo Bay Pod at protonmail.com. You can hit us up on Instagram, where we are, the Cargo Bay Pod, and probably not Twitter, because we don't really check it that much.
Yeah, I get on there every once in a while, see what's cooking, usually just to see people's... I'll jump on there because it is tailored to just feed Ahsoka reactions, so sometimes I'll get on there and just be like, what are people talking about here? Which... It's usually some variation of "Arr!" or yeah. That's kind of the extent.
I think you just nailed the internet, dude.
Yeah, there it is. Well, BC, I guess that will wrap it up for us in the cargo bay this week. Anything else?
Hey, if you're still watching, you haven't liked and subscribed, hit those things. We appreciate it. Otherwise, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Shoo.
BC, we're on top of the door. Hi, everybody. I can fix this. I can fix it.
It's perfect.
Bye.